Hey everyone, it's Jessica. Obviously, I had not anticipated on going live today. That's why I look the way I do. My hair is frizzy and I have sweats on. But I had a question from one of our followers, and it was something that I thought probably all of us have thought about or had questions about ourselves before. I know I've questioned it before myself. So it's something I just thought we could make a video about and talk about it, because it's just a lot easier to talk about it than to like text something out to somebody. And so the question is like, how much should we be playing with our children? And it sounds kind of like, and you might be surprised that that's even a question for me, because if you follow me, I talk a lot about play, and I am a big, huge advocate for play. So I'm trying to think the best way to kind of like dig into this. First of all, I think it totally depends on your child, hey Ashley, hey Jenny. I think it depends on your children's ages. I think it depends on if you have siblings at home, if you have access to other play partners. We are in a very, very interesting time where if your children are not enrolled in a preschool or don't have access to play partners, it kind of all lands on us as parents. And so that's tricky. Ideally, children in the preschool, toddler age would have lots of opportunities to interact with other children. I just found a hair clip under my laptop. It's very random. But they would have lots of opportunities to engage with children their same age, like same aged peers. That's an ideal world. I know we're not living in an ideal world right now. So one of the things that I think I took away the most when I went to Italy, because maybe you don't know this, but I've gone to Italy and been in their Reggio Emilia preschools, and the teachers are very hands-on there, but there's not a lot of playing done on their part. And I think I was kind of shocked by that when I saw how much they didn't play, but the children were playing together. Their role is that the adult should be the facilitator. So the adult's checking in often, seeing what children need to extend play or extend their explorations, and they're providing it. Oh, you need more paper? Let me get you more paper. Oh, you need to build a fort. What do you think you would need to build that fort? Where could we get that stuff? So they're kind of that facilitator. I've read in some other sorry, it's kind of loud in my house too. But I've read in some other research articles that the adult should be like the stage manager of play. So, monitoring, helping give suggestions, and just organizing it. There's also some research out there that says children don't interact with each other as much when an adult is present. Now that's all in a preschool classroom, so it's a lot different when you're at home. My children, I have been very blessed that my children have all been very good independent players. I have gotten drug into the Barbie play so many times. So I've been there. I've done the Barbie play. I've done the you be this person, you say this, and you have to say this. I think once my kids started having other play partners, that slowed down a little bit. But I think there's a lot of power in young children playing by themselves or playing with each other. I think it's still really important as the adult to set up some exciting play invitations. That's why I kind of show you some of the sensory table ideas where you set it up. You maybe sit with your children for a few minutes and then you kind of walk away, come back and check back in. If your children are really used to you playing with them the entire time, you're gonna have to do some weaning away from that. Like you can't just, tomorrow you're gonna play by yourself, because it's not gonna work. Like they're gonna keep wanting you to come join them. They're gonna not know how to get started. But by us removing ourselves from the play scenario sometimes, it actually makes the children become more creative. They have to be problem solvers. They have to figure out how to sustain play, but they're not going to do that overnight, especially if we've been there every step of the way. So in a classroom, that looks like the teacher going in, helping maybe in the dramatic play center. Oh, we're going to build a restaurant. Okay, who's going to take orders? Okay, you're going to take orders. Okay, I'll be the customer, and then being the customer for a few minutes and then saying like, oh, I have an appointment and skirting out of play for a little bit. Like not saying I'm done playing, but kind of making it a natural, like I'm going to go do this for a little bit and then coming back and checking in on children. It's great if you, and I know COVID, but if you can get your children some play partners, that's even better, because if they're playing with children that are close to their age, that's when we're going to get all of those social interactions that they're not going to get with us. We are not going to fight with them over the red Lego. We're just going to give them the red Lego because we don't care about the red Lego. However, if they have their neighbor over playing, that neighbor kiddo may really want that red Lego. And that's going to create this whole scenario of them having to learn to problem solve with each other. Same thing with a sibling. It's a little bit harder with a sibling because you've got that sibling, like, just angst and rivalry going on too. But it's powerful. Just because there's conflict, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Obviously, you have to kind of watch over it and make sure that everybody's safe, no one's getting hurt, but let them kind of come up with their own solutions to their conflict. That's why it's really important that they play with kids versus us all the time, because we're not going to give them conflicts. It's also when they're playing by themselves, they have to learn how to start play. They have to learn how to assign roles. They have to just kind of come up with their own ideas. But I think it is a tricky situation. And I've seen a lot of parents get kind of wrapped up in, I feel like I have to play with them all the time because they ask me to play with them all the time. One thing you could do is, while you're playing with your kiddo, you could sit down and make a list. Let me try to grab some paper. You could sit down and make a list with them. What are all the things that you love to play with? Oh, you love to play with Barbies, and you could just write that down. I guess that should be capitalized. You like to play with cars. Okay, but I know you like to play with cars. Play-Doh, yes. So you're going to kind of make them a list of all the things that they love to play. So that way, and this is backwards for you, I know, but that way when you are busy cooking dinner or you are folding laundry or you are working, this has been something that I've had to figure out because I'm working full time, but I'm at home, but my kids are at home with me too. So when you cannot literally sit down and play, you can pull out this list and you can say, oh, you're bored, you want me to play? You know what, mommy can't play right now, but look, you could play Barbies, you could play cars, you could play Play-Doh. Which one of those do you want to do? Okay, let me go grab that for you. And if they have a really hard time staying with that task, you could do things like setting a timer. I'm going to set this timer for 10 minutes while you play cars, and then I'm going to come back and check on you. Obviously, if you're on a Zoom meeting or something, you're going to have to work that out with your schedule. And it might not mean that you come and sit down and play. What it might mean is if your child chose cars and they're in there playing, you set the timer, you come back in and you notice that maybe they're getting angsty. They want you back. So maybe you give them something else to extend that play. Like, you know what mommy has? Mommy has toilet paper rolls. I wonder what you could do with these. Could you use these with your cars? Like, obviously, I'm thinking they could use these as tunnels. They could use these as ramps. I'm not going to really tell my child what they should use them for. I'm just going to give them the pieces and walk away again and tell them I'm going to come back and check on them. You're giving them little bits and pieces to kind of extend that play longer. And in the beginning, 10 minutes is probably going to be way too long of a time. If they're really used to you sitting beside them and playing with them every step of the way, 10 minutes is too long. We want to make it so that they're successful and we're successful. So maybe it's just setting a 2-minute timer, and then increasing it and increasing it and increasing it. So have them make a choice between the things that they love and the things that you, if Play-Doh is not a thing that you let them do on their own, don't put that on their list. But letting them choose between the things they love, setting a timer to kind of walk away, come back and check, and then finding things that you can extend their play with. Giving them the toilet paper rolls, giving them, oh, so they're playing with cars. Well, maybe we can add little people into that too. So now they can make, they can have their little people take rides, or giving them paper and like a big piece of paper. Could you draw a city for your cars to drive on? Or even just giving them that paper and being like, I wonder what you could do with this paper and your cars, because they're still the ones that are making that decision. And so it's still extending their play. And then I guess another thing I just thought of and I wanted to make sure to say is you are still interacting with your child even if you are not able to sit with a child and spend 30 minutes playing Barbies. That is okay. What we want for our children is for them to have built-in times of the day that you are interacting with them during those built-in times. So we call this in the biz, we call this embedded interventions. When we're talking about children who need some specialized interventions, we call it embedding interventions into our routine. The same thing applies with all children. Like if we can embed them into our daily routines, that's so meaningful, and that is a lot of quantity over the day. Like it doesn't matter if it's 30 minutes in one setting or if it's lots of time over the day. And the great thing about spreading it out through the day during our daily routines is that that is helping your child generalize. Now that's a big word, but that's helping them generalize their skills. So they're learning to do their skills during play. They're also learning to do those same skills during self-help skills, during more academic type tasks. They're learning to do it in different settings. So what are some examples of embedding children's interactions through our day? We'll just kind of think about, okay, morning time, when we wake them up. Maybe we wake them up with a little song and they sing that song with us. That's interacting, that's back and forth communication, that is you're including joint attention, you're including all the same things that we look for during a play session with children. And then we kind of move it to breakfast time. You're giving them breakfast. Maybe they're helping you make breakfast. That's really great attachment building there. Just thinking about how you can include your children in your daily routines. And I know that some people say, like, have them help you do chores. Sometimes children are a little smarter than we are, and they figure that out. They figure out, she's just trying to get me to fold laundry with her. But if you make it a game, sometimes they want to sit there and do that with you. And it's okay if they're sitting beside you and playing while you fold laundry. You don't have to be directly involved in that play, if that makes sense. So I don't know if I answered the question. How much time do you need to play with your children? I think it really, really just depends on the situation. I think there's power, definitely power in playing with your children. I do find myself skirting away, like getting them started, popping into their play and popping out of their play, and making it kind of part of the play episode. Like the person who has a meeting and has to go to the meeting and comes back and wants to order a coffee to go. So figuring out playful ways to get in and out of their play, just to kind of check in on them and leave, teaching them how to extend their play, giving them ideas on how to balance their boredom. Boredom is not a bad thing. Boredom is a really good thing. I think we are in an age where we fill that void way too much. And it's great to be bored. That's when our minds can think. So giving them tools on how they can figure out their boredom and what they can do about it. And if you can, give your children play partners. And if you've been their sole play partner, and this is going to be a hard transition after this pandemic for everybody, but if you've been that child's sole play partner, expect conflict when they have play dates, because their new play partner has their own ideas. Like, we don't really have our own ideas when we're playing Barbies. We just want it to be over, if we're honest. But the new play partner has their own ideas. So children, and that's great. Conflict is a good thing. So just know that you may have to be close during those play dates until they kind of figure out things. It's okay to enter into that play and exit that play just like you would at home too. But yeah, let me know in the comments, like, what do you feel about play? Like, how much play are you doing on a daily basis? I don't really have a number. I think it depends on our day, depends on what we're doing. Know that if your kids are going to entertain themselves and play by themselves, it's gonna be messy. I'm looking over at my table right now. I don't know if I can show you. My daughter, while I was cooking dinner, she found clay, like red clay, and she was making things. I didn't know what she was doing. She was very quiet, so be careful when they get quiet. But she was making things over here. She told me that they are candies. But she did this. I mean, yes, there's a mess on my table now. I mean, not a terrible mess. I'm going to show you, but my kitchen's really messy because I didn't clean it up from dinner. But this is kind of stuck on my table. But you know what? She played with this for 40 minutes. She played with it while I was making dinner. She came back and played with it after we made dinner. She came back and enjoyed. So you know what? That 40 minutes, to me, I will wipe up this clay off the table because she was engaged. She was being creative. She was letting me cook dinner. So I think you're going to have to just remember that too. Like, if they're playing by themselves, there's probably going to be a mess. That's not to say you can't create some routines and figure out ways to clean up those messes, but it's a give and take. But let me know, how much are you playing? Hey, Caitlin. Yeah, enough attention. So just think about, and I guess I just keep going back to those Reggio classrooms in Italy, but even in a preschool classroom around here, if you go in, preschool teachers are very attentive, but they cannot, because they have a classroom full of students, they cannot sit and play for 40 minutes with one child on that one thing that they want to. They are popping in and out of play episodes. So they're building in the blocks with one child. Then they're going to the kitchen and playing in the kitchen area. Then maybe they're going to the art center and doing that. So they're popping in and out. And they're doing it kind of out of necessity for themselves. Like, they can't be everywhere at one time. But what the research has shown is that's so good for children, because that the teacher kind of getting it started but then leaving gives them the opportunity to build those social skills that they need to on their own, as well as cognitive skills, that executive functioning, that thinking about thinking. But then, that's why we pop back in. That's why when you're choosing a preschool, you want to find teachers that are popping into play instead of ones that are just sitting there and watching it all happen. No one wants that. But it's a delicate balance, and you're not going to know what it is until you see it and it's working for you. But so I think if you're thinking about transitioning if you're at home and you're a mom and you're thinking about transitioning away from playing with your kiddos, one of the things I think I would do is just kind of keep a journal. Sometimes in our minds, we think things are different than what they are, but jot it down. How much time did you spend playing Barbies today? Okay, it was 5 minutes today. How did your child seem? Were they still happy? They were happy. You might surprise yourself that just that entering in and exiting, it might work. And if you write it down, it might help you to see that this is working and I'm not depriving them of anything. But yeah, let me know. Okay, I will get off of here because I don't know. It's quiet and I don't know what anybody's doing in my house, so I better go find out. It's good to talk to you guys as always, and I will see you later.